Hello, all you wonderful people out there in internet land. I am Thirsty. This is Monday Night Get Nuked. We are once again playing Nuked, which is a setting in the spiced system, which I and the other wonderful people at Bloodthirsty Puppets wrote. You are now joining us for what I believe is our 29th glorious episode of Herding Cats. And tonight, hopefully, we shall attain plot resolution, or at least something a little bit like it, when everyone dies. Before we go any further, for all of you there out in Chatland, although I expect you know it now, because I can see the viewing list, and I think I've talked to all of you personally. But anyway, we shall go through the rules for chat, which are... Oh, who's going to go with it now? Oh, come on. We did this last time.
Don't be at all about someone's race, don't be at all about someone's gender, and don't be a tool.
Or a screwdriver.
Oh, it's... I can't help but feel our stream is so much better now that I don't have to say that. Because I can never remember lists of things that are written down, which is why I don't write anything down. So, we have our wonderful players here, who will introduce themselves in a moment. But first, having gone through the rules for chat and who I am, let's do a brief recap for you at home of what's been happening, because this could be a momentous time. When people go, "Oh, I'm just going to watch the last episode of the last season." So we've had our three little miscreants. Or a screwdriver. Happy now, Crow? We've had our three little miscreants wander into Ooze Town and discover nefarious goings on. They've got tangled up with salties and blue coats and brothels. So many brothels. Oh, so very many brothels. And dodgy shopkeepers. They've caused fires and suffered through gunfights. They suffered terrible injuries and been healed by Anita. Only Anita. Pretty much just Anita. Without her, they'd all be dead. They've set sail. They've put in a brief stint as pirates and scavengers, and then they brassed off their mates and got abandoned. They've destroyed hovercrafts and municipal buildings and large seafaring vessels. They've killed people large and small. So, who are our mysterious heroes? And I hate calling you that. So, we were running the reverse of the order we did last time. Lilth, who shall you be playing tonight?
I will be playing the lovely Anita, who has saved everyone's asses numerous times and now thinks her colleagues are dead.
Yeah. That puts it pretty succinctly. Yes, you once again snatched narrow survival from the jaws of near heroism, and walked to safety while assuming everyone behind you was going to follow the plan. So far has just been your deadly mistake every time. But hey,
I can't help it if they can't stick to a plan.
Yeah, you have faith in your fellow beings. And unfortunately, they do nothing to justify it. Over and over again, for hundreds of years. So now we shall hop to our young gentleman. Eivor, who shall you be playing tonight?
I'm Eivor, and I will be playing the stout-hearted, the mettlesome Zeke, the northern wanderer, who somehow got tangled up in this mess and He's been shot again. And he's ready to pack it all in and just head back home.
Yes. But not, however, willing to accept that Herbert is the hat tucked in the bottom of his bag.
Absolutely not.
So there. Anyway. Now we've covered the stout-hearted Zeke, who abandoned his friends to wander off and get caught up in a minor administrative infraction, and then got near fatally wounded and cut off an important route of escape. But hey, you know, forgive and forget. So, finally, and perhaps most worryingly, we have Spanners. Who will you be playing tonight?
Hello, I am Spanners, and I'm going to be playing for hopefully the last time, but we keep saying this, Timi, our kind-hearted soul, who just, she's just stabbing people for their own good. Yes, I think last time she wasn't quite as murderous as she had been, although she gave it a damn good go. But left the episode in a slightly concerning state of a lack of hit points.
Yes.
So she started with one and she ended with one, having been royally healed by Anita in the meantime.
Yes. Although, let's say, you know, even considering that last episode wasn't quite as murdery as you're used to, you did still kill one person outright, and injure someone to the point where, when they tried to move, they killed themselves.
Yes.
So, you know, let's not discount the lethality of last time.
Yeah. But, you know, there was no sort of like burning brothels down or stabbing a main NPC that we probably
I don't
needed.
know. You set off a bomb that levelled a barracks full of people.
I helped set the bomb off. Helped.
No. Zeke set off one that collapsed the staircase.
Yeah.
And you set off one that collapsed a barracks full of people who were banging on the door trying to get out.
All right, maybe my death count was a bit bigger last time.
Yeah. Yeah. Although, to be fair, I re-listened to the recap of that episode this morning, and I'd forgotten that. So, hey, there we are.
They were inconsequential.
One day, I will make one of your characters meet their family.
Do it.
But yeah, there we are. So, that is our heroes, and also a little brief rundown of what they've been doing, which is nice. It means that I don't have to do it now, or I have kind of already done it, but hey. So, we know who I am, we know who they are, we know what's been going on in general terms, so let's get back to them. I think we shall go with Anita. So, I seem to recall that Anita was sitting in a room wearing Chewie's jacket and drinking a drink by the light of a candle with Leeroy, Jackson, and Chewie.
Yes, that sounds about right.
Yeah, you're gradually recovering your hearing while they treat you for shock.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So yeah.
After having a corridor brought down almost on my head.
That's the one.
Yeah.
You know, basically thrown around a bit with concussion. So good.
Yeah.
So there you are, sitting in a room with three people who don't necessarily speak the same language as you. You can't hear what they're saying when they try and speak it back to you. But you have a drink and a jacket. And no idea where your friends are or if they're alive.
That is correct.
Yeah. So what are you doing?
I am sitting there, drinking my drink, and still trying to see whether or not my friends come to.
Okay.
Well, kind of looking at the salties going, so no sign of them yet.
As I say, these three are so they're sort of, they're looking at each other and talking to each other in salty, trying to work out what you're saying. And like some of them understand a few bits. I think Chewie, we said, understood a little bit of English because he's older than the others. Jackson's slightly younger than him, and Leeroy's very young. So I don't know if that's actually how it works out. But, so yeah, they're all sort of standing, looking at each other, in that way that when something's clearly wrong with you and you're sitting in a cafe in a foreign country, trying to get help, and 3 or 4 people who speak about 7 words of English between them are trying to work out how to help you in a very good-natured way, but it's just very confusing for you. I had that when a friend of mine twisted their ankle on holiday. But anyway, so Leeroy goes back out into the corridor, but you're sitting there with the candle, so he's pretty much just sort of, you assume, shouting or walking out into the darkness and feeling around for people. But as he's gone, you start to hear things again. Not so because what you were hearing initially wasn't silence; it was more like tinnitus. You couldn't make out what anyone was saying. But gradually, you start to hear things like you start to hear the mumbling of the men talking to each other. You hear. Do you have any? Does Anita wear any rings or jewellery or any kind on her hands?
No.
Okay.
Maybe because her hands are falling to pieces, but
Yeah, fair enough. It's like you hear the mug that your drink is in. You hear it when you put it down. You hear it clink against your belt buckle. Like you can just about sort of hear a click.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little sort of jarring. And as you sit there for a few more minutes, gradually you start to hear sort of rumbles, and the buzzing and ringing in your ears sort of decreases to the point where you can make out roughly that words are being said in your immediate vicinity. You can't understand them because you don't know the language, but if someone were to sneak up on you, they probably could. But you can hear your own footsteps if you wanted to walk somewhere. You can hear your own voice when you try and ask them questions. All in all, you're starting to feel a little better. The nasty, shaky, screeching, ringing, feeling of surviving a traumatic event is starting to die down. But yeah, Leeroy comes back and sort of shakes his head. He's looking a bit sort of, I don't know about this. And Chewie and Jackson sort of come over and sort of gradually guide you up and start sort of leading you away. Jackson picks up the candle. Jackson picks up the candle and hands it to Leeroy, and they start heading out.
Yeah, I'm going to go with them.
Okay.
I'm going to take the whole look of Leeroy and the fact that my ears are ringing and they haven't come, and it's been long enough for my hearing to start to come back, but they're probably not coming back.
Fair enough. They start leading you back the way you came in, through the scenes of devastation where Salties have captured bluecoats and pummeled them savagely. And you start to make your way out towards the exit of the fort. Right. She's going off and having a cup of tea with the Salties. I'll ping back to you two. So, you're currently standing in the pen. you have. You think you each have a guard. At this point, I seem to remember one was called Carson. Can't remember if the other one had a name. You're standing on the edge of the pen. You've been led through this crowd of people who are frenziedly working pumps and moving rocks, and basically, they seem to be trying to clear the rockfall and free this cylinder thing that's sticking out of the water. And while simultaneously, people are pumping the water out as it rises, because it's threatening to sink this thing under the water. From where you are, roughly, there is a wooden walkway that's been built. That sort of, at one point, it was like a jetty that spread out over the top of the water. But the water level's now risen, so it's slightly under the water, maybe an inch or two. And over where it meets the cylinder, there's actually a hole that's been cut, or maybe they've just taken advantage of a hole that's been borne in, by rocks falling, or possibly he might even have been there before. But this hole even is slightly under the water. There's like a little gentle waterfall going in. And as you sort of have some time to take in the scene, you notice that from the gantries above, there's actually a big, thick, braided cable that's coming down from the ceiling, and it's dangling in through the hole. And it's a big, like mooring cable size bundle of like electrical flexes and high voltage cables. At least that's sort of what it looks like.
Okay.
It's dangling in through the hole and it vanishes inside. But at no point does it touch the water.
Okay.
Right.
And this thing that we're being led towards, what's it made of?
It appears to be made of some form of metal.
Okay.
It's the part that you can see that's protruding from the water is it's easily 40 feet long. Just the bit you can see that's sticking out of the water. The far end of it, where there are slots cut into the metal, it almost comes to a wedge shape. The top is flat. And the rest of it is sort of cylindrical, rounded. It's black, and it's sticking out of the water at an odd angle.
Okay.
And the guard behind Timi shoves her gently. Like, right, you in there. You join them in there. And Carson, the not idiot with the pistol, tells Zeke, you said you were tough. You join this pumping team, and there's a team of salties, and there's some Ooze Towners as well. Some of the sort of the larger, tougher looking ones, and they're working like a big hand pump. It kind of looks like an old railway pump wagon. There's like two people, they're moving like a large mechanical bellows. It's like sucking the water out. They lead you on over, and they tie your left wrist to the pump handle.
Okay.
So you can use one hand to adjust your grip and get out of the way if you need to, but you can't wander off. So they don't have to worry about attacking them. Yeah. Retreats to a safe distance and just get the fuck on with it. Right, you lot too, and the rest of them start pumping. You have the chance you basically have the choice now of joining in or being dragged by this damn handle. Yeah. It traverses about sort of 7 feet.
Zeke will join in, sort of trying to work out now. Captured and unsure where Anita is. He'll bide his time and sort of help with the pumping. as he's been assured that it means his immediate destruction should he not pump.
Yeah. Okay. Right. We shall leave Zeke there in the pumping team. Right. Timi, you've been shunted onto this rickety, waterlogged, pontoon. I think it might be a jetty, actually. I can never remember the difference. I think one floats and the other one has legs. But hey, you basically get pushed out onto it and told to go in the hole.
Okay. She's going to initially. She's going to kind of peer in, I guess, see how dark it is. Can she see much in there?
There's actually light coming out from inside.
Okay.
When you set off those bombs earlier, a lot of the electric lights died. But
Oops.
some of the lights in here aren't electric, and there seems to be nice stable electric light happening inside there. It's not massively bright, but it's a lot more, constant.
Okay. In which case, she is going to make her way towards the nearest of those lights. See if she can make out any other people.
Okay. Heading inside, and as you get sort of to this hole, you can see that the edges are a little bit jagged at the sides, but at the bottom, they're actually rounded off. There's actually a rim. There may at one point have been a hatch, but it's not there anymore. Whatever was there has been edited in order to form, a more appropriate door for horizontal access. So, yeah, as you sort of step over, there's an immediate drop of 5 or 6 feet. There's some rungs underneath the door. As you climb inside, the immediate thing that strikes you is that everything is grey inside. Like it's lit. There are these sort of caged light bulbs every few feet. But the floor isn't flat. It's slightly off on kilter. And obviously there's a slope to the whole damn thing. But as you stand there, you notice that the water is rushing past you downhill. As well, as the water comes in from the hatch behind you.
Can I see where this water is coming from?
The water is coming from from the large amount of water that's slowly filling the pen as the pumps fail.
Right, so it's coming in from where
Through-
I just
yeah.
came from.
Yeah.
Okay. And there are no other people in here.
In this section, no. As you enter, there essentially what you've entered into is a large, fairly featureless room. Around the outside, there are a series of sort of technical-looking consoles. Remind you a bit of the bridge of the ship you were on recently.
Okay. And do these consoles look like they're up to anything? Are they alive? Are they just kind of...
There are lights on them. There are sort of dials and things, but they sort of flash fitfully. Whatever they're meant to be doing, they're clearly not doing it at the moment. The lights in here, while they're a hell of a lot more constant than the ones out there, they are sort of pulsing very slowly.
Okay.
It's a sort of cycle to their brightness. You can hear so there are people moving around to your left. Because you're in essentially a sealed room. There's a door at one end and a door at the other, and lots of consoles in here. To your left, you can hear maybe a half dozen voices, and a little bit of sort of clanging about. To your right, you can hear a great deal more activity. You can hear water rushing just about. I say here. you're aware of the water rushing. The people moving around to the left are making quite a bit of noise. The people to the right are making a great deal more.
Okay.
There's clear signs of people hitting stuff, in the manner of very frustrated mechanics. Percussive
As much
maintenance.
Wants to be going left because always go left. She's going to go right towards the noise.
Okay. Yeah. As you head immediately right, you see the door at that end isn't actually closed. It's not like hanging open because obviously they don't want water to just rush straight through. But it hasn't been sealed or anything. Like there's one of the sealing rings on it. And as you head over there, you kind of realise that one of the piles of rubbish that sort of crashed down to that end, it's moving. It's sort of shuffling about a little bit. You assumed that this was just a pile of like soggy papers and bits of dross, that have run down to the run downhill and hit the console, and just water is moving it as it rushing around. But as you get closer, you realise that it's just a very, very dirty person who's dug through this refuse and is using their body as a barricade against all the water coming through to work on something behind it.
Does it need to be salty?
It doesn't. This person, it would be fair to say that they look better kept than most people you've seen. Most people you meet out in the desolation are very sunburned. They're very bronzed. They tend to have lots of damage from lots of skin damage from long days out in the sun. This person, by contrast, looks very pale to you. I mean, they're filthy, but at one point they were clearly very well kept. Their skin is fairly smooth. You see, like their hair is unkempt, but it's not as long as most people like wild unkempt hair. Their fingernails are still relatively neat, sort of thing. They've still got an earring in on one side. At one point, this person looked posh.
Okay.
And most tellingly, they're not speaking salty to themselves. Which, in your experience, rusties and salties tasked with the technical tasks tend to.
So she's going to go as close as she can. Obviously, not too underwater, and just kind of say, how, mate?
This person, they clearly weren't expecting anyone else coming up behind them. Your voice makes them jump. They immediately flinch. They cover their ear and the back of their head and flinch. Don't hit me! Until they see that you're assaulting, and you're not wearing blue, and you're not carrying a stick, and you're not here to give them half a cabbage. Salty, eh? Oh, you chaps are doing your part. You here to help? Know anything about electrical systems? Fascinating, this. Look at this. And he sort of moves back a little. I say he, you're not really sure. He moves back a little, and you see what this person was working on. It's just this mad tangle of wires. Some are fused together, some are burned out. Whatever this person's been doing, they might have been trying their best, but they clearly have no idea what they're doing. After a few moments, he looks at you with that sort of genuinely pained look of someone who's got lots of enthusiasm but very little knowledge. He goes, I'm trying my best. Why is it that everyone who hears me speak assumes I'm competent? Well, maybe you should go. Maybe you should go through. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. You carry on. Maybe don't touch this anymore.
I don't know. I mean, sure, the lights aren't as bright as they were, but the pulse is quite calming.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, don't touch it anymore. Why don't you come with me, and maybe we can find you something else to do.
Oh, yeah, if you say so. I mean, well, damned odd the newcomer's telling me what to do, but okay. And yeah, they sort of. They shuffle free of the crouched position they were in, trying to fix this panel, and all the filth sort of sloughs off of them. And you see that it's a very tall, somewhat androgynous person that was at some point clearly wearing quite a nice suit. One of the ones with like the square collars that don't meet, don't stick out. Sort of an almost Victorian shirt. You notice that on their left forearm they have something that looks a little bit like a console. And it's beaten up and it's quite clearly damaged, but at one point it might have even served some kind of purpose. Now he just looks like a deranged steampunk enthusiast, but hey. And they pull the door the rest of the way open. And he goes, "After you. In you go." And he says, as they open the door, the lights the other side of the door are brighter. They don't pulse. They're decidedly more steady. But the water is about 2 feet higher the other side of this door. Like, it's been gradually increasing, sort of inch by inch, but the other side of this door is 2 feet higher.
Yeah. So you've not been working in here then?
Oh no, they At first I was all the way in the back, but gradually salty folks like yourself, they told me to work up here. Enthusiasm, experience. Well, they value experience, let's say.
Yeah. They value people not killing them too. No. Okay. Right. So, what were you attempting to do?
Oh, bit of this, bit of that. You see a thing, you fix it. If you see something sparking, you try and splice it back together. Oh, it doesn't half hurt your fingers. Ooh.
Don't think you meant to touch it. Anyway, can you take me over to the salties that are up here?
Of course. Yeah. Straightens the front of his jacket and just marches proudly on down into the water. And it's now approaching their knees. It's sort of mid-thigh. They're not very tall. By the time they get to the other end of this area, I mean, this area's it just seems to be a lot of small rooms. Occasionally, you pass other people who are working on bits of ducting or are trying to make sure that big thick cable stays out of the water by taping it to the ceiling or looping it through light fittings. And this cable seems to be trailing all the way down through into the back. And as you come to the other end of the section, so the ceiling's maybe sort of 6 feet high. The water is a decent 3.5 feet deep at this point.
Okay. So what you're saying is that this cable shouldn't go in the water.
Oh God, no! Even I know that you don't put cables in water. That's just foolish. They told me that. Yeah. So yes, and anyway, In we go. And he opens the next door, and for you, you see an engine room. It's definitely an engine room. It looks like every engine room you've ever seen. Right, Anita. You're sitting just inside the tunnel out to the Salties Enclave. There's probably about 100 Salties sort of cowering around this area. You've got Morgan and Charlie like trying their best to sort of make sure that everyone's got like a place to hide, a bit of food, and someone to hide behind. And they started scavenging like planks and things to like barricade up the entrance so that no one will see them. But mainly they seem to sort of be dithering. They're not sure whether they should be going forward or back. They have no idea what's going on. So, yes.
Is there any sign of Captain Morgan?
So yeah, Morgan's around here somewhere. You occasionally hear a voice shouting at people to do this or do that. But there, if you picture those photos of London Underground stations during the Blitz, where people were just packed in as tight as possible. I mean, this is a passage that 3 people struggle to walk in abreast, and it's now got 100 people in it. You can probably step over people. You could probably get to the other end. But all these people are looking to you. So you're going to... What? You're just looking, pushing through? Are you going to shout? Are you going to loudly announce who you are?
I'm going to try and push through to find Captain Morgan.
Okay. You're going to push through. You're going to brute strength this. Are you going to be dodging through the crowd? You're going to be trying to assert yourself?
No, I'm just going to try and dart through. Weave my way through.
You're going to try and weave your way through. Okay, you're going to dexterously weave your way through the crowd.
Semi-dexterously, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, go for that then.
Because this isn't going to go horribly wrong. Oh, it's not. That is a 13.
Excellent. Well, the crowd opposed your 13 with a 9. So yeah, the crowd of terrified people have bulldozered by you just like ramming your way through with your elbows out. Chewie and Leeroy and Jackson are trailing in your wake, apologising for you profusely. Because it's maybe post-apocalyptic and it may be a terrible situation, but we're British, damn it. There's no reason to be rude. So yeah, you by the time you arrive at the other end of the tunnel, you're pretty sure you now know the salty word for sorry, or possibly excuse me. But hey. So yeah, when you get there, you can see Chewie, and he's definitely standing over someone sitting down, and you can hear Morgan's voice. Charlie. Sorry. You definitely hear, someone going, "For Christ's sake, get it done! Move! Right. Send a party off to fetch some boats. Damn it!" In fact, she's shouting in English periodically. Is worrying, but not entirely unwelcome. It's someone who speaks 2 languages being angry in both of them.
She is going to march over to Captain Morgan, plop herself down next to her and just go, "Yeah, something weird's going on down there. Got most of the salties out, I think, but yeah, the others are probably dead, and I still don't know what they're up to under there."
Well, that's not very good. Right, so... Oh, I can't remember the fucking accent at all. I can do it for a bloke, but trying to put female inflections on it is absolutely murdering me. Just a moment. Yeah. Beer. So yeah, Morgan looks rather concerned. Well, that's not very good. So what are we going to do about that? Should we be running then? Is that what you're saying?
Quite possibly. Well, they were pumping something, and that's kind of stopped because all the people running the pumps are kind of in here.
Oh. So the pumps were necessary. Yeah?
Quite possibly. The number of pumps they had with the number of people running it suggests that maybe, but I don't know.
Oh. So,
I was told to free the salties, so I freed the salties.
well, good for you. So, let's say again. Should we be running? Should we be
That's my plan.
gathering up the people and going?
Yeah, probably a good idea.
Shit. Okay. And she gets Charlie to help her up, and she stands on a pile of rubble just outside of the entrance, and she's sort of pulling herself together, standing at full height, and she shouts a loud and seemingly impassioned speech, in the great tradition of Boudicca and Winston Churchill, that rouses the resilient spirit of her people, which is completely lost on you because it doesn't involve the word sorry or excuse me. But afterwards, you hear 100 throats, like, "Ray!" and the adults, the healthier adults, which are probably about 40 or 50 people, rush out into the wreckage of the Salty Enclave and start gathering things. They start like dragging bits of building together and bodging together bits of boat. You get the impression that this is something Salties have done before. When all else fails, you build a boat and you bugger off. But yeah, they start knocking something together. You're pretty sure that your help would be valuable. Charlie hints such a thing. He definitely doesn't speak English very well, but it turns to you like, you help?
I kind of shrug and go, tell me what to do, and I'll do it.
We make boat.
Yeah,
Nope.
no idea how to do that, but yeah, I'll give you a hand.
Come, we do.
I kind of wander over to where they're building, kind of look around and just kind of start picking up random bits of wood and handing them to people.
Yeah, that's basically it. They're just basically making something that's very big and quite flat. You get the impression they just kind of want to cross the river and then they'll deal with what's going on. But yeah, or maybe just float out to sea and fire off some flares or something. Who knows? But yeah, can I get a craft check from you?
You can.
I don't often do those in this campaign, but hey.
That's another 13.
Nice. Excellent. Yeah. You and about 20 salties start nailing bits of scrap together. Just driving bits of metal spike and and other sort of vaguely wedge-shaped pieces of wood through other pieces of wood with heavy pieces of brick. It's desperately trying to make it essentially a large sheet. Sort of raft that you could maybe stick buoyant things to. You have experience of this. You've done this quite recently. They're just doing it on a much grander scale. Your combined efforts have made something that will probably carry about 12 people so far. So yes, you're building an evacuation craft. Zeke, you're in the pen. You're surrounded by Ooze Towners and Salties. You're in sort of semi-darkness. The lights keep flickering. Some of the electric lights are blinking back on now, but not many of them. Mostly the sort of gas lights and candles on the higher level that are casting light down into here. But yes, you're here slaving away with the others. What are you going to do to support your pump team?
I think Zeke is just gonna find the pumping rhythm with the rest of the team, and also sort of work out what he's been tied to the pump with.
Okay. Well, working out what you've been tied to the pump with is very simple. You look. It's essentially a short length of leather cord.
Okay.
It's just like a braided leather cord. It's it might even be intended to like wrap your hand so you don't chafe as bad. Like the cords that powerlifters use. They wrap it around the wrist and you put it over the palm of your hand when you're lifting something ridiculously heavy. And I only know that because I watched the mountain lift like the weight of a small elephant recently. But yeah. So yeah, you've got this leather cord. The others, the rest of the people there, the whole effort, like it's more frantic than efficient. There's people who aren't tall enough to push it all the way up, and there are people who are too tall to push it all the way down. So it seems to sort of just wobble in the mid-range. It's maybe sort of traversing like 40% of its, say 40 degrees of its like 90-degree traverse. So these people they're trying, but they're not very good.
Okay. I think as Zeke allows this pumping to continue and helps to the best of his ability, he's also going to try and like sneakily untie the rope around his wrist.
Okay. Yeah. Well, give me a sneak.
Okay. Question.
Mm-hmm.
As my plan is to flee, does this count as sodding off for synergy's sake?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I mean, you're definitely on these people's side.
This is an 18 then.
Okay, yeah. You this leather cord, you basically just slide it off the end of the pump handle. Like just you work your way along to the end. You're like, come on, you can work past people. They're not all tied to it necessarily. Well, some of them are tied to like the main like cross beam rather than the handle. And you can just walk past. You work your way around them. You're like, I'm just trying to get a decent grip. Get your other hand to it, and let you work your way along to like the right hand side. So you're right next to the drop into the pen. Pretty much in the center of the room. And yeah, you quickly whip this the knot doesn't matter if you just slide it off. And there you are. You have a length of braided leather cord that just sort of vanishes. Oh, you're not wearing a duster, are you? So it vanishes up your sleeve, basically, into and sits on your side next to your leather vest, blending in nicely.
Okay. So from there, Zeke is going to try and sort of blend in with the other work crews, and sneak his way towards the way out to the door out on the side.
You have to walk up onto the upper catwalk. Past 4 guards.
Oh, damn. Upper catwalk past 4 guards.
Yeah. And a dead one.
Isn't there a door lower down as well?
No. Well, the catwalk isn't one flat level. The catwalk has 2 levels. You go to the. If from where you're standing, you turn left. You walk up some stairs, go along, and you come to the door that you came in through. And it continues round and goes down again. Originally, you assumed that it had the same sort of setup going off onto the right-hand wall, but the right-hand wall has collapsed. So,
okay.
Yeah. So the access to the catwalk from the right is no longer there.
So it's to the left, the door that Anita and...
Well, from where you're standing, it's directly in front of you.
Right.
But it's also about 10 feet up. The door you came in through is 20 feet up to your left.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to sort of sneak along through the work crews, appearing busy sort of at each one of them.
Okay, so you're sneaking up. Give me another sneak. If you are just fucking off, you this is your action for this segment of the of play.
Okay, I can live with that. That is a 10 plus 10.
Jesus God, yeah. You just vanish. You decide to weave through the work crews. Basically, whenever you come near a blue coat, you go around the other side of the crew. Yeah. On the way, you pick up a basket with a bunch of like water bottles in, and you replace the guy who was wandering around handing people water. No one looks at you twice. You're the dude with the water. I mean, what's more natural? You've got people working hard underground. You give them water so they don't die of heat exhaustion or thirst. But yeah, that's you. Okay. With you gone, something bad happens. But we'll just say no more. Okay. It's alright. Alright. Right. Cool. It's all good. So, you... Sorry. Just... If you're doing this, I've done it wrong. There we are. So, you wander off. Timi, as you proceed into this engine room, you realise that the water level is rising. Clearly the pumping efforts seem to be slacking off. And you see, over the span of a few moments, maybe the length of time you took to walk through the bunks area, the water level at the lower end of the craft raises a foot. The water being pumped, the water that's cascading in, is coming in now coming in at a significant rate faster than it is being pumped out.
Okay.
So yeah, you walk into an engine room where the water is about 4 feet deep. There are a bunch of salties in this water. Some of them, to their shoulders in the water, frenziedly working away amidst a tangle of pipes and machinery. In the middle of this room, there is a very large, complex piece of machinery. It's made of black metal. Everything else here is painted grey. It's got flakes coming off the grey paint, but everything else is painted with this thick, gooey, grey-looking colour. But yeah, this thing in the middle, it's big. It's made of black metal. It's got lots of yellow stickers on it, and it's humming. You can feel it's that kind of hum you can feel in the air around you. It's clearly vibrating quite significantly, and the big thick cable is being plugged directly into the top of it.
Okay. So is there a particular salty that looks like they have some kind of authority here?
There's a dozen salties in here, and all of them, it would be your natural reaction to defer to any of them. There are at least 11 people who might be like rust masters on their own boat here.
Okay.
There are rusties. There are people who their faces are still streaked with the almost indelible oil. Their clothes are still streaked with rust stains and oil. But most of they're immersed up to their sort of nipples in water, so it's hard to tell.
So Chewie is going to kind of go up to the nearest one, probably. All right. I don't think you want to be down here, do you?
You're not fucking kidding. I don't want to be down here. We want to be back on my boat. But we all got told if we didn't come in here and fix that, we'll all be knackered.
Right. Well, I think you might be knackered anyway. You not seen the water? It's quite high, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty fucking high. If we sit here in it too long, we all might just die anyway.
Right. So maybe just leave.
Well, I don't know if you noticed. There's a lot of these folks outside with these blue jackets on.
Ah, right. I think I might have helped you there. We got rid of quite a few of them. Those young'uns down in the cages and the rest of them. We let them out and they took care of them. If you know what I'm saying, just sort of reduce their numbers.
Well, as happy as I am to hear that, likelihood is if we don't get that there thing sorted, that black thing, the humming thing, the buzzing thing, that one. Yeah. We don't get that sorted out. Likelihood is we'll all die.
Right, and what do you need to do to make it, I don't know, work?
Bugger if I know. I've never seen nothing like that before.
Well, why don't you just unplug it? Plug it back in again. Might work.
Well, why haven't I thought of that before? Well, come on, let's get that done then. And he takes like 2 or 3 wading steps over, and 2 or 3 let's say 2 or 3 sort of women who might be sort of approaching early middle age, who are clustered around it, working frenziedly at a console on the side of it. Don't you take another fucking step! Don't you fiddle with this? Sensitive equipment, that. You see that yellow? That's sensitive, that is. them triangles pointing at each other. You don't put triangles like that on something if it's not important. No, as you see there, they're pointing again to one of these labels, and it's a yellow rectangle, and there are these 3 sort of yellow triangle-like objects that taper down. In the center, there's a circle. You've seen this before, but it's one of those things of just like, don't go near that. No one ever explains what it is.
Okay. So, you know this is sensitive. What are you doing to try and fix it then?
Well, what we're doing is, you see that? And they point at all these pipes that are up against the wall. There's a big cylinder on that in that corner. That's got like little bits of frost on it. It's like, we're doing is it's like, that thing over there, that's cold. And this thing in here is hot. So, if we get the levels right, that thing over there makes that thing not explode.
Right. So, how's this all going to work with, water and whatnot? Because you guys, you're not fish.
Oh, we know. But if we don't drown, and we don't get blown up, and we don't freeze, because that don't pop, and we don't boil, and they point at another pipe, because that don't pop, we might be able to just, fix it.
Right. And what's broken?
Well, the bloke, you were talking before, not to put too fine a point on it, everything. Looks like some fella just came in here and plugged that in the top. Didn't know what we were going to do. Left it for about a dozen years. And everything go all screwy. And then, the whole thing catches a leak and water gets in and things go wrong. Now we're all about to get, blown apart or Cumber over there. He says that if the water gets in, it will shoot out and turn to steam and cook us all alive. And McNiffy over there, she says that if that cylinder breaks, we'll all freeze to death. But if that one breaks, we'll all be cooked. And it goes on. Essentially, like every single person in here has a different theory of what will go wrong and what will kill you first. But they all generally agree that if this room gets flooded out, this thing will explode. And either the steam, or the stuff inside, or the stuff that's here to stop it exploding, will kill everyone in here. But we either need to fix it, turn it off, or find some way of taking this thing away.
So there is a console, yes?
Yep.
Okay. At the risk of killing everyone, Timi is going to sit with the women who are around this console and attempt a tech use to see if she can work out whether there is, I don't know, an off button.
Okay.
Something to turn this thing off.
Yeah.
Or
Try.
something
Do a
kind
tech
of
use.
Okay. 16.
Yeah. With a 16,
Everyone dies.
On a 16, you're not touching anything. You're just you're taking in the controls. You deduce from the controls that basically this console controls the flow of something from that tank over there with the frost on it, and that pipe over there that's very hot. This controls the balance of flow in and flow out, basically. Yeah. For want of a better phrase, this controls the cooling system.
Okay. And from the controls, is there anything that Timi can decipher that might have some kind of effect on how much of that side ends up that side?
Actually, only 16. I'd say you deduce that one way you could possibly balance this issue is by opening intakes from outside. You could pull in cold water from outside and dump it into this system, making it a lot cooler.
But can we get to those without...
Well, this is a function of the console. This is an
Okay.
emergency function of the console. It's not safe by any means. Like, yeah, it's one of the. It's like a function of the console that's like, you know, behind like one of those little like plastic covers with a lock on it, but the
Cool.
cover is broken.
Cover is broken. Okay, she's gonna flick the switch.
Okay. Lovely. Okay, yeah, you flick the switch. Okay, I just have to make a note here. Switch flicked. Okay, you flick the switch. Instantly on the console, you can see the internal heat going down. The internal pressure raises quite steeply because whatever's rushing in is getting hot. But yeah, there's a you've massively increased the flow of cold, of coolant essentially, very crude coolant in this case, salt water, which isn't great for cooling things because it leaves salt crystals everywhere. But hey, better than none. And the hot pipe on the other side of the room like groans, quite not quite like uncomfortably. You can sort of hear pressure creaks coming from that side of things. Script. Yeah, why not? Okay. Zeke, you're outside in the pen. You hear all of a sudden rushing of water. As you turn from the other side of the room, you can see the water level that's just sort of spilling over the sides of the pen is now rushing back down. It's probably dropped a foot or so. But you can see from the end of the room where all the rocks are, you can see bubbles of steam rising off of the water. And the people over there are starting to choke.
Has this distracted the people on the catwalk by any chance?
The people on the catwalk... the people on the catwalk seem mainly to be concerned with moving towards the door they still know is operable. They've stopped like throwing cabbages down into the room, and they've sort of they've formed up and edged their way around to the door that they know they can open. But yeah, you can see this steam. It doesn't act like you would expect, like, you know, a gout of steam to act. It clings low and spreads like mist. And the people it rolls over, you can, like, initially they start to choke, but after a few moments you start to hear them sizzle. They start to develop like large, obvious blisters. You know, people at the far end of the room are probably starting to die.
Seeing all this go down and feeling a great sense of duty to all the individuals who are now suffering from this steam-related malady, feeling that he should at least tell the tales of what happened there this day. Zeke is going to, as quickly as he can, but as stealthily as humanly possible, follow the bluecoats out of the operable door.
Yes, you're feeling the Homeric imperative to go and tell the story of these great doings, as opposed to, you know, yeah, yes, like all great war correspondents, you feel the need to be near the action but not of it. Okay, yeah, you start making your way to the catwalk. Give me a exposure, an endurance exposure.
Okay. Could be worse. That's a 12 dirty.
The dirty 12. That does not cut it. You take a level of exposure.
Okay. So up to 2.
Ooh. Dirty exposure. But yes, that brings you up to 2, which sits you still within a fairly safe sort of bracket. Let's see. A 2! Aha! You've now moved in from weary to gasping. Ooh. Oh dear. Oh no, that's good. Yeah. You subtract 5 from your maximum hit points.
Ooh. Does my current go down as well?
No. It increases your maximum. And you now have a level of suffering if you didn't before.
Okay.
Yes. You try as you might, you have to walk towards this mist to get past this mist. You're not fizzing and dying, but you're feeling uncomfortable. Excellent. So yes, you've got to like the base of the catwalk, where the stairs start to go up. Right, Anita, you have made a raft fit for about a dozen people. You get sent off to go and scavenge for parts. Just sort of people taking turns. A few people come in with like a big sheet of what was previously probably like a corrugated roof. Right, no, we're gonna, no, this is our bit. We're gonna sail on this bit. Like, we're gonna secure it. You have to find your own stuff. So you get sent off with a few other people to go and find something to stick into this. Basically, you have the option of searching the Salties' dwellings. You can search the old houses near the fort, or you could try and salvage some of the old wall of the enclave. Where are you going to go?
Do I know from here a route away from this town that doesn't involve going over the river?
You could walk past the front of the fort, which you know from experience has things like mortars and guards. You could walk back through the town, which you know from experience has bluecoats and fire. I mean, theoretically, you could try and go under the cliffs, but you have no idea if there's any, actual land under the cliffs.
Okay, in that case, I am going to head towards an area that doesn't look like it's been searched yet. So that's still relatively close to that raft that's already built.
Okay, well, the closest area is they're building the raft in the old enclave.
Mm-hmm.
You have the option of going closer to the fort and salvaging the old buildings, or going towards the town, further away, but scavenging bits of the old wall, which would probably be larger. Basically, it's large and far away, or smaller and closer.
Smaller and closer. She can pick up lots of small stuff.
Fair enough.
Easier than a big unwieldy piece that's away from safety.
Okay.
Safety.
Yeah. Give me another craft. Give me a perception craft. You're looking for something to make things with.
Damn it. Dirty 12.
A dirty 12. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You and a few salties who are sort of in the area. You managed to dig up like the old shitty like curved front of an old vending machine, like between you all. It's relatively light because it has that bulbed out plastic bit on the front, but it's just large enough to be awkward.
Yeah.
It takes sort of 2 or 3 of you to drag it back. So yeah. By the time you come back, you were 12, didn't you? So yeah. Yeah. The yacht's about big enough for 20 odd people now, including what you found. You can like attach that on the underside because it's hollow. And that'd be a good thing for buoyancy. It doesn't increase the size much. But yeah,
buoyancy is good.
Yeah,
we like buoyancy.
Exactly. Yeah, the raft is probably about a quarter of the size you need it to be now. Right, Timi, you've opened up the intakes. You can hear the rushing of bubbles as the pressure in the system drops again. You can hear screams coming down through the doors as the water around you settles in at around 4 feet at the moment, but it's still rising. So what are you going to do? The internal pressure has lowered. The humming is now closer to a purr, but that might also be because the machine is a third submerged. It's set up off the floor a bit.
Yeah.
So.
She's going to take hold of the console and try and work out a way to shut the power off.
Shut the power off.
Shut the power
The
off.
console you're dealing with just controls the cooling system.
Just controls the cooling system. We don't want to shut the cooling system off and leave this running. So, is there another console that is linked to this black box. Does the black box itself have a console?
That's the console you're dealing with at the moment. There might be other consoles in the room, but this is the one that's above water.
Okay, so this is the only one that's above water. And the power goes in at the top, yeah?
Yeah. Well, the cable goes in at the top.
Cable goes in.
It might be truer to say the power goes out at the top.
No. But there's some kind of power source going into this thing through the cables at the top. Maybe. Maybe not.
Give me a tech use. You're now actively doing tech use. You're trying to work out. You're trying to determine the function of an unfamiliar piece of technology.
15.
15. Yeah. From the layout of this engine room, from the cables coming out, from the functions of the cooling console you're dealing with, and the other bits of technological gubbins you can see in the room, it occurs to you there is no other power source here. There's no big diesel engine. There's no big obvious batteries or fuel tanks or things like that. This large dark machine with all the warning labels on it appears to be plugged into everything here.
Yeah. But that could mean that the power cables that are coming out of it are taking the power out and powering everything else.
Could.
Not that that's the power going in and powering this thing. So if they get pulled out, the power's got nowhere to go, and then everything goes kaboom.
If that's the conclusion that Timi is drawing.
Yeah.
So Timi is drawing the conclusion that the energy is coming out of this thing into the cable.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Possibly through some kind of weird magic or a gremlin inside it, but she doesn't see any other way of making the salties leave without them thinking that it's going to explode. And she wants them to survive.
Yeah.
She's going to pull the cable.
Okay. Okay. Now, Timi has said, you've said, like in Timi's opinion in the past, that grabbing cables with your bare hands is bad. What's Timi doing in order to not touch this cable with her bare hands? Is she doing anything to prevent herself touching it with her bare hands?
She is going to use the weird Mac thing that she was wearing and wrap that around the cable. It's like a weatherproof, salty Mac, so it keeps out all the sort of the acid rain.
Yeah. Okay. So you're taking off your protective gear, wrapping it around your arms, or maybe in the ancient tradition of someone picking up a very dirty dog, you like put a coat on backwards and grab it, so that there's no opening at the front. So yeah, you grab the cable. I think that's a grapple, isn't it? Unless you want to do a brute strength.
I would prefer to argue a brute strength.
Go for a brute strength then.
Bollocks. I'm going to lose my... Oh, shit. I'm going to use my legendary point, and I'm going to go and collect my die.
Fair enough.
Mainly because I botched.
Oh.
And we don't want to be botching.
No.
Not now.
Well, it could be fun.
No. Right, what's that? That is a 14.
Yeah. Okay. You grab this cable and you pull with all of your desperate, all of the desperate might you can muster. Okay. It starts to shift. Like some of the smaller flexes that are being spliced into this like massive end start to pull away and spark. And you're standing there pulling. Basically, you've had to basically climb on this thing. Basically, you're straddling this large thing at the front. You're basically sitting on top of the cooling station, like, yanking this damn thing up. It's a decent thickness of braided cables, and the salties around you is like, what the fucking hell are you doing? You're gonna kill us all, you dozy bitch! Get away from it! The rather pleasant and gentle being that helped you down here. What's this? Oh, well, I'll lend you a little hand. And he rushes over and clamps his hands on the exposed ends of the wire. Grabs on, and you can see his fingertips starting to blacken as he does this. His hair starts to sort of stand on end. You might even see a brief interplay of lightning between his false teeth. But without fail, the cable comes loose, and this poor bastard sort of falls back. The others have given him a decent wide berth at this point. Whatever was going through him has discharged through the water into everyone, to a lesser degree. Not yourself, because you were sitting up on the cooling station. So they're all sort of a little groggy. But yeah, you are now holding a very, very large cable. The lights in here get much brighter. Much, much brighter. The water level actually goes down a little bit. You can actually hear some machine noise start up again in the background. The water level starts to drop very gradually, not very quickly. As the salties sort of sit around, blinking, working out what the hell's going on. And this chap who helped you in his Victorian colours, sitting there staring at his blackened fingertips. Bloody hell, that doesn't happen to a fellow every day. Oh, fancy that, I can't feel anything. Oh, this is going to make sewing a bastard. Oh. How will I make my doilies? But yes. The lights are much brighter. There starts to be machine noise. You're aware that the machines around you in the engine room are starting to sort of come back to life. Whereas before they maybe didn't have enough power to function. Now they're starting to wake up. You feel circulation fans starting up. The air starts moving through, which at some point is going to become a problem. But at least initially, it's nice to have a breeze. The salties all sitting there. Bloody hell! It's the one thing I was told not to do. It seemed like a bad idea to go and be pulling that. I mean. Who would have known? That would, that was taking away all that dangerous noises and that. It was going over there. Seemed like a good idea. Leave it there. They're clearly working on the impression that this is like a steam vessel or something. it's taking away all the dangerous pressure that could otherwise explode and kill us all. Yeah. Zeke. The mist plumes and gets much, much larger. All of the electric lights in here abruptly cut off. What would you notice next? What would be obvious from your... Oh, yes. That's it. Most notably, now that basically all of the lights, apart from like the few gas lamps that are hanging from the upper walkways, go out, you notice that the sally port on the door up on the, all the way around, the second blast door is open, and you can see light coming through it. A backscattered light of people with torches running away.
Yeah, Zeke's heading in that direction. If one of these gas lamps will come off the wall at a touch, he will grab one of those and sort of book it as quickly as he can in the direction of away from here.
Okay. Give me a quick strength, just to wrench one of these things down off the wall. They're hung on hooks and they're quite high up, but you can probably grab one and pull it. Might just break the handle off.
10.
Yeah, fuck it, why not? Yeah, you're running along, taking big gasping gulps of air, because you're in no condition to be running anywhere at all. You've got no skin on one foot and no ankle on the other. This is not prime Olympic sprinting material right at this moment. So you grab yourself a lamp. Others see you doing this. Or before the lights drop completely. You grab a lamp, they can see you illuminated on the upper catwalk. Someone screams, "Break for it, lads!" You assume he's from Bungos. And you start to hear the sounds of essentially a slave revolt going on behind you. But yeah, give me another endurance exposure as you run through this horrible plume of filth.
13.
You take another level of exposure, I'm sorry to say. Which I believe is another d6 off your maximum hit points. It's only 2. 2 off your maximum hit points. And you still have a minimum suffering of 1. So yeah. But yeah, you're up on the top catwalk. You're probably back where you came into the room now. You're up on the catwalk by the busted blast door. Anita, you have a raft big enough for 25 people. You have some soldiers have come back with some materials. They're asking you for your help to secure them onto the raft. So if you could give me a nice obvious craft.
I can indeed. That is 14.
14.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean it looks a little bit rickety, the join. They've got you to attach what's essentially like a slab of old wheelhouse, like one of the walls of an old wheelhouse from a boat. They've just turned it horizontally. You attach it. The join doesn't look great. They start tying ropes between the window of the wheelhouse and a hole in over here to try and shore it up a bit. But it looks flexible. It's a flexible join. That's good on the sea, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You start selling it to them this way. And they don't understand what you're saying, but reassuring words, reassuring tones. In fact, give me a manipulate. How reassuring are you?
Ooh. Is this charisma or intelligence?
Either. That's a charisma, actually. You're trying to reassure people who aren't actually sure of the content of what you're saying.
8.
8. Okay.
I have a charisma of 2.
Yeah. The as you they sort of they grumble, and they when their mates come back with some more stuff, they take it to the other side of the raft, where the more seasoned boat builders are. You know, they're not cussing you out, but they're giving you a bit of side eye. But yeah, the raft is now around half as big as it needs to be. You know, in their practiced estimation. Yeah. Cool. Right. Script. Timi, you're sitting in a brightly lit room. You're holding a big, thick cable. The water level is going down gradually, maybe a couple of inches every minute. The salties around you are sort of recovering. The fans are starting to blow this thin white mist into the room with you. It's quite unpleasant. It leaves like an unpleasant taste on your tongue, and it makes you feel a little lightheaded to start with. It's almost like the sensation on your skin is kind of like the sensation of chili on your tongue. You know, just the beginning tingle of chili on in the back of the throat, sort of thing.
So, yeah, so still standing on the box. Just turn over to the box. Right then, lads.
Just a little bit quiet.
I reckon we need to get out of here, right? So, off we go. We've got everything working. You've got it fixed. You're allowed to leave now.
You hear that, chaps? We're free to go. Oh, I can't wait to tell the chaps back at the. Not at the dwelling. I didn't say dwelling. No. Who said dwelling? I didn't say dwelling. No, let's go over here. Let's go over there. And this idiot beasts a hasty retreat back to the door. Yeah. I was back there. Yeah. Ooh, souvenirs. And he rips what looks like an old health and safety notice off the wall. Tucks it inside his jacket. The rest of the salties are standing there we're not leaving this. This is a technological wonder. This is. Look at it. Look at that. I don't know what the fuck that is. He just points at a gauge. I don't know what that reading means. I want to know what that reading. Don't you want to know what that reading means? One of the women who's over by the cooling race he's got a point, love. I mean, we go years without seeing something like this.
I don't think you'll go many more years if you stay down here. You know, white mist and all that. It's not good at sea. It's not good down here.
The three women seem far more convinced than the blokes. The three women immediately see the practical point of dying in poison gas, being shit. You're like, oh yeah, so, yeah. Never did like it when it was misty. The guy's like, no. If I you lot go. I can sort this out. I think I know what that does. And he points at a handle on the ceiling. If I turn that and do this, and he starts listing off a bunch of shit, you guys are just leaving.
Yep.
You know, in the manner of an authoritative man speaking absolute bollocks, and no one being able to dissuade him. You know, like every other father-in-law in the world. You know, I'm not saying that 50% of all fathers-in-law are clueless, but DIY has to be done by some people and not others. So yeah. Yeah, the rest of you vacate the room, and he seals the door behind you. And a little intercom panel next to the door crackles into life. He's like, "I'll be seeing you soon. I'm gonna sail this bitch out. The high seas for me." He's completely forgotten about the massive hole in the front. But yeah. Excellent. So, yeah, you and 11 salties are heading your way out, and a rather fruitily dressed individual is leading the way. "Come on, fellows! Ooh, it's jolly dark out there. Ooh, do you think there's some way of making light go with us? I mean, has anyone got what's it called? It's on the tip of my tongue. It's a little stick. And you rub it against a thing, and fire! It's very jolly. It's jolly, interesting. Yes. Anyone got one?
No, I know a man who does though.
Oh yes.
Let's go find him. He was last time I saw him. He was by that pump.
Oh, okay.
Seems to have scarpered.
He pops out. And the minute you pop out, you emerge into thick white mist. You can see off to your left as you come out that there are maybe 30 or 40 people on the floor, most in the latter stages of dying. Most of them with their skin boiled off. So yeah, take an endurance exposure as you taste, your handiwork.
Whoops. Okay. So if we get up to three levels of exposure, what happens?
If you get that's suffering. 3 levels of exposure. Okay, yeah. 3 levels of exposure is fine. You take D6 from your maximum per level.
Okay.
So, really? You get 2. What did you roll? First of all, for your endurance exposure.
Pardon?
What did you roll for your endurance?
We got 6 plus 3, 9.
Yeah, you take a level. You reduce your maximum hit points by 2.
Okay.
Making you effectively weaker even if you get healed. Yes, your minimum suffering is now 1, but we don't worry about that because you're full of morphine. Huzzah! So yes, you walk out. You start choking. Your skin starts burning at the front as well as the back. Maybe the hair you had at the front burns off a bit or changes colour. But yeah, you walk out into sort of the middle of a slave riot basically. As a huge crowd of people start surging towards the catwalk, trampling over people who happen to be wearing blue. And as you emerge from the other side of the cloud of mist, you see Zeke standing up on the catwalk with a lantern, hurrying as best a man with one ankle and no skin on his legs can hurry. So yes, there we are. Zeke, you can see in this madness only your immediate surroundings and not your new friend, your friend who's escaping, because you're holding a goddamn lantern in a dark room, which means you can basically only see the lantern light. What are you doing?
Zeke is hurry hobbling in the direction of the one working door, with the idea of hoping that it leads back onto that tunnel that we may have collapsed the upper level of but can still escape down into the basement and out.
Okay. Okay, yeah. So you're going to run across the last door. The large body of the crowd seems to be following you. Right. Yeah. Oh no. Okay. Timi, as you reach the base of the catwalk, you hear behind you a horrible crunching noise. Followed, sort of a bang followed by a grinding noise. As the suggestion of a dark shape behind you starts to thrash around in the water a bit. You could take an educated guess and say that the thing in the water has started moving. Only a bit, and it's making a horrible noise. It seems to sort of twisting in the water slightly.
Yeah.
So it's like it's like a grinding of steel on stone underwater. So it's not a shriek; it's more of a horrible grinding noise. And you can hear rocks moving at the other side of the room.
Okay, now would be a good time to run.
Okay. So you're beating a retreat. Zeke is beating a retreat. Physical endurance is from both of you. You're running.
See, that's what I can do.
13.
Physical endurance is 7 plus 7, 14.
Doing pretty well in physical endurance. Pretty crap. Okay. As a background thing, Anita, argue what you're doing with argue a role for what you're doing with the raft builders. Doesn't have to be crafty. You could be treating their wounds. You could be manipulating them into working faster or harder. You could be trying to convince them to not escape and stay behind, so there's more room on the raft for you. You could be intimidating small children into trying to run for it. Anything you want.
Could I argue my knowledge of 100 years or more of life that things are starting to go wrong and that we need to get out of here regardless of how many people we can fit?
I would say, well, depending on how you're trying to do this, that would either be an intelligence manipulate, because you're trying to argue facts at them, or an intimidation, because you're trying to scare them with the danger of it.
Manipulate is better with intelligence.
And it fits better with Anita's skills. Anita's character.
That's 13.
13.
Mm-hmm.
A few of the more unscrupulous looking folks, again, they don't actually understand the language you're speaking, so facts have less meaning than they maybe should. But when you point at the generally useless looking people who aren't contributing much, look at those children and elders. They're not pulling their weight. Look at this bit of the raft that I made. You say, pointing at the thing that's like tied together with rope by someone else trying to fix your problems. Like, look, I did this. This is my bit. Like, this is more than enough for me and my friends. People start, eyeing the elderly and the young. It's like,
Ignoring the fact that Anita is the eldest person there.
Yes. Well, this is the human elderly. The ones who might be having trouble, say, moving heavy wreckage in order to, retrieve boat building materials. And the very young, those who might not necessarily be strong enough yet to move heavy boat building materials. But yeah, you start making some kind of like argument from natural selection. You devils, and you can hear. Screw it, they're still British. You can hear people around them doing devil's advocate. You can hear well, excuse me, but we can't leave our children. Well, excuse me, but you can have more. Like, what? This is the general sort of the tone of the discussion. They're definitely sure whoever is here is trying to kill them, and whatever's going on is bad. The argument seems to be swaying between less of how can we save everyone and more who should we be saving. Now, one party seems to be advocating heavily for only the adults of childbearing age escaping, and the other seems to be advocating for the parents and children escaping and leaving everyone else. Because that's sort of how these things tend to work.
Anita is making sure she is on the raft.
Anita's holding up her medical bag. Like, important, useful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You're
and positioning herself so it's very hard to get her off said raft.
Standing in the middle. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Right. Folks running in the dark. Only perceptions. You are running in the dark.
Okay. Does my lantern help me at all with this?
Well, yeah, but you can only see your immediate surroundings. Oh, nice.
That's not ideal.
Yeah.
That's a 10.
Well, to be fair, you also know where you're going. So it's not too bad for you. This is more along the lines of like navigating in the dark with 100-odd people trying to push past you. A large number of panicked people fighting their way past you. But yeah, Spanner. Once again, Timmy's natural talents come to the fore in a crisis, and you start elbowing your way through the crowd, and leveraging your considerable height. I seem to recall Timmy being considerably large. In order to tactically place elbows in faces and push your way through. Because naturally when you push someone's face, the rest of their body follows. You hobble through, just like grabbing people by the head and pulling them out of the way. Sort of breaststroke through the crowd. You're pushing on ahead. You arrive in the little pool of lantern light around old Zeke, and see him spraying claret from his ankle and hobbling along. Zeke, whatever drugs it is that those dudes gave you earlier to make you not feel like absolute dog crap, they're starting to wear off. All that fuzziness and pain relief and things, you're burning through it pretty quick. Maybe it's the adrenaline, but things are starting to crash. That's what's slowing you down. That's what you're telling yourself. It's not my fault. It's all these injuries. God, it wasn't for these lot. But yeah. Once again, you hear a horrible, horrible noise from behind you, you hear screams at this point, and something in the dark clangs into the blast door behind you. You hear rocks moving, you hear the horrible grinding sound, and something hits the blast door from the other side and slams it closed on people. But yeah, you guys are the other side of the door. Some people aren't. You can hear screams and like fists thudding on a door from the other side. But yeah, you guys all end up outside eventually. You're standing out in the sunlight with around 100 salties. Around 100 salties that you freed previously. And maybe another sort of 150 people of various sort of extractions. You have a raft now fit for about 50 people. And as you emerge from under the hill, as you emerge from under the hill, there is a god almighty bang, and the whole hill just falls in on itself. Maybe the last sort of 5-10 people, like cowering in the passageway, don't make it, and you're sort of laying sprawled in the wreckage of what was the Salties Enclave. And yeah, there you are, laying together next to a wrecked hill with 250 bemused, dirty people.
Alive people.
Yeah.
That's not like us at all.
No. Having dealt with what was rotten under Ooze Town. Yeah. So yeah. There you are. All battered and bruised and broken but alive. So Anita.
Mm-hmm.
What's Anita doing? Where's she going from this?
Anita is definitely finding herself a nice quiet pub somewhere
Okay.
that she doesn't plan to leave anytime soon.
Anita plans to leave here and go to a pub.
Yes.
What's Zeke's plans from here?
The plan is to hobble maybe as far as Lewis, rest up, and then leave the godforsaken south back to his ancestral home in
the far north. Excellent. And what's Spanners? Spanners, what is Timmy's event sort of end point here? Where's she going?
Back to Rachel's. Is it? I moved it again. Timmy is going to go back to Rachel's and apply for a job in security.
You're going to go to a brothel in a collapsed town.
Yes.
Okay. So there we are. That's that was what was written under Ooze Town. That's what these guys are doing next, and maybe in the future we shall join them on their new adventures. But for now, that's that. There we are. So how do you say goodbye to each other? What happens as you stand here in this impromptu refugee camp? And Morgan manages to find, let's say, find two of you. Who does she find?
Well, Zeke and Timi are already together.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. Morgan's checking over the folks who've just run out of the tunnels. She's standing there with Charlie. My God, I didn't tell you to blow up the fucking hill. What did you do? What did you do?
You asked us to deal with the fort and sort out Al. So
What happened to him anyway?
it's in the fort.
Oh, so you don't know?
No.
Oh well. We'll get him next time. Charlie, be a dear and go and find. Go and find Anita. Yeah. You're left there standing there going, oh yeah, we were meant to be dealing with the guy who trapped at the fort. Okay, and it's not hard finding Anita amidst all these people. She's standing in the middle of the raft, arguing loudly that it should be herself and children first. Possibly alternating with a few of the salties who and maybe some Ooze Towners who actually speak English, like maybe just take me to a pub. Maybe I don't need to go to sea again. But yeah, you're all back together now. Charlie's coming, fetched Anita, standing together. So what are we going to do now? Anyone got any ideas?
Got a few hundred people. Rebuild, adapt, survive.
Okay.
Find a pub, have a drink.
So almost aiming it more at his two travelling companions so far. I'll say, well, I'm bound back north now. Came this far, and as far as I know, old Herb was up there when it came down. So, but me and Jerry are heading back home. If either you want to come see the north.
Well, if you're ever back down here, I think Ooze Haven has a nice ring to it. I think we'll be staying here. You're always welcome to come back. We'll keep a seat open. We'll get a stool especially for you at the bar. How's that sound?
Sounds good, Morgan. Sounds good.
Excellent. All the best to you and him. And, you finally check, and Jerry is just curled up in your coat, hiding from everything. There's too many loud noises. There's too many dirty people. Jerry's in no fucking mood. But yeah. All right, so Anita, can I what can we do for you? You need to go anywhere? You want to stay here? You want to? We can build you a pub.
I like the sound of that.
Because I
Pub / pharmacy / treatment place.
Okay, that's a bit of a mouthful, but we'll see what we can do. I believe there's a bit of building still standing where Butts used to be.
Yeah, that'll do.
I think it used to be a leather shop.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's what we'll do. We'll build Anita's place.
Sounds like a plan to me, as long as I can get some booze into me right now.
Oh, okay. Opens his jacket. Hands you a smaller hip flask. You can see there's a larger one. She hands you a smaller hip flask.
She's just gonna grab it, unscrew it, bottoms up, down the lot.
Yeah. Okay. And you, what can we do for you, Timi?
I think if we're going to build Anita a pub, then I'd like a schoolroom.
School.
reckon I've got a few. That's right. I reckon I've got a few kids who probably need to write their own names.
I think we can do that. While you're at it, you can. Here, I can teach some of this lot some fucking English.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Excellent. So there we are. There. That's what you will end up doing. And so next time when we venture into this world, we'll have to keep an eye out for Ooze Haven, where Anita holds a pub, pharmacy, drug den, hospital.
Play to her strengths.
And a dangerous psychopath is allowed to teach children grammar.
All right.
Yeah.
It's
Fair
touch
enough.
of a different form.
Yeah, well, you're true. It is. So yeah, that was Rotten Under Ooze Town. That was Monday Night to Get Nuked. The first campaign that I got roped in to run. So yeah, there we are. Whew. And under 30 episodes. Huzzah! Oh, it only took a year. So yeah, that was that. I was thirsty, I was the world, and all of its horrible petty irritations, radioactive mists, and terrible things trying to kill you, rocks falling, everybody dying. You can find me on Twitter at thirsty_BTP. You can find me at bloodthirstypuppets.co.uk, where eventually I'll remember to do things. Yeah. You can, obviously watch this and our past campaigns on our YouTube archive. And hopefully by next week, or possibly the week after, we will have come up with some idea of what we'll be doing next. So, that was me. Eivor, what do you think of all that?
Yeah, that was a fitting end. It's been quite the trip, and I'm glad to have been a part of it.
Excellent. And where can we find you? What are you doing?
You can find me on Twitter at Eivor_DNABC. And otherwise, for now, in the nebulous north, plotting.
Gee, you always sound so sinister when you say that. Although scheming might be a richer, more sinister word. I don't know. I had to work on that one. Anyway, so, young Lilth, where can we find you? What shall you be doing in the nebulous future?
That was incredibly fun. You can find me on Twitter at Lilth21. You can find me on Saturdays on Kit Battlebeard's Twitch channel playing some D&D. And at the moment, you can find me at Gen Con. Yeah, the beginning of August. Come watch me absolutely destroy masks and screw it up for everyone playing.
Hooray! But you'll be doing it off on a different continent, surrounded by people who find you, sophisticated just for having, a proper accent. So it's okay.
Yeah, that's true. And speaking proper English.
Exactly. And knowing when the letter U should be in words.
Yes. And when not to use the letter Z.
Ah. Indeed. Perfect.
And actually know what pants are.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, let's not bash them anymore. You are going there.
Yeah.
You don't want to come off as some sort of snob. I mean, they'll probably think it anyway because you can speak English properly. But hey.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah. Oh well. So yes, and by no means least, but in fact last.
No. Okay, yeah, so I am Spanners. That was so much fun. And we survived.
Yes.
I
And
genuinely
you managed to
expected
bloody
die.
separate right up until the last friggin' second.
I know.
Too much to ask for you to stand in the same goddamn room.
No, absolutely not.
Mm.
Divide and conquer. Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at Spanners_BTP. You can find me on bloodthirstypuppets.co.uk, where I am doing things, where I've been writing a weekly blog. You can find me in other places, Dark Dice, when there's another thing out. I have been promised shortly. Counterbalance was episode 2 released this week, where you can find my dulcet tones. And back here next week for fun and games. Oh, and also if you are watching and you want to come in and you've never played Spice before, I am running a noobs game. So come and join us on our channel.
Yes.
Let me know.
Yes. Yeah. They're currently named Spanners Noobs of Doom.
Absolutely.
Excellent. So yeah, that was that. And that was me attempting to wrangle some plot resolutions and then forgetting that we had a bad guy. So that's the end of our time for tonight. Time at the bar. Drink up, folks. And cheerio. Oh, fucking hell.
I can't believe we made it.
Oh.
I can't believe we all lived.
I know.
Well, you know.
Miracle.
Oh. Yeah. Well, you know,
Well,
I was.
we need some kind of award for like longest game ever.
Longest 12-week game.
Oh yeah, longest 12-week game. I was gonna say that you hear about these things. There are people who are still playing like original like D&D in the same campaign like 35 years later. So you know we're a way off, but
That's like Tolkien level.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that really is. But hey, but yeah, thanks for sticking with me for 18 weeks longer than I said you'd need to, or more because we missed some weeks and it's actually more like a year. Yeah, thanks so much, guys. This has been a wild ride that's told me that I should never run games because I have no idea what I'm doing. I should stick to writing rules and playing. But I won't. So there we are.
Okay.
Thank you so much. And that's that. Thanks, guys.
It's been fun.
Absolutely.